Alexander the Great. Alexander of Macedon. They have different titles on different sides of the book. By Harold Lamb. Part 3. We're continuing the waters of Babylon. This pleased Alexandros, who began to long to set out to circumnavigate Arabia. A land expedition, led by himself, would work its way through the people of Arabia, while Nearchus, who turned back at nothing, would follow the coast, and together they would reach the land of the Nile, and solve the mystery of what lay south of the great deserts. Already, the new shipyards in Babylon were reaching 10 and 30 oared galleys. Alexandros went out on one of the new ships for a test cruise downriver and to examine the working of the canal system. He came back, entering Babylon through the water gate a second time. Eucestes had come from Persia with a column of the new army, and Seleucus had also reported with his elephant train. That night Alexandros drank wine until daybreak, too restless to sleep. Now, one thing they're doing in Arabia right now, which is, if they were keeping out foreigners for visiting, or foreigners from countries where there was an infection, that's reasonable. That's what they should be doing. But they're stopping pilgrims. They're not stopping people on business, but they're stopping pilgrims. That is a clear sign they're using this as a oppression rather than He could not sleep. He went down to the river to swim and had himself ferried over and laying the morning sacrifice on the altar. You don't have to sacrifice every day. Give food to the stomach, plan to do that, but that's the altar that you should sacrifice to, upon, to the other side, a pavilion in a pool where he could stretch out and be cool in the heat of the day. He felt fever rising in him and bathed again in the pool, after which he tried to rest, ordering the officers to meet him at daybreak. It's important to wake up at dawn. His fever now raged through the night. Arrian states, he offered sacrifice and gave orders to Nearchus that the voyage should begin on the third day. When he offered sacrifice the next day, he could not keep quiet because of the fever. In spite of that, he talked over with the officers how they should have everything in readiness for the start of the fleet. The next day, being very weak, he had to be carried out to make the sacrifice. In this condition, he was carried over to the palace where the generals and officers waited outside the doors. When they entered the room, he knew them, but could not speak to them. For 2 days and 2 nights, his fever mounted high. Then the soldiers, hearing a report of this, fancied that he might be dead, and the fact kept from them by the confidential officers. Some of them crowded the palace, grieving and forced. Then the soldiers, hearing a report of this, fancied that he was still unable to speak. He greeted each with his right hand. He raised his head with difficulty to each one. Soon after, Alexandros died. He had lived for 32 years and 8 months.